Happy New Year. I'm Michael Depp, editor of TVNewsCheck, and I'm with Shelly Palmer, a technology consultant and prolific columnist and newsletter writer, and we are talking about CES. Talking TV is supported by Making the Media, a podcast from Avid exploring the forces that shape the media, news, and entertainment business. The latest episode features Carrie Wooten, managing director of Rise. Rise is an award-winning global advocacy group set up to support diversity in the media and technology sector, particularly on the engineering side. Among other work, their mentoring scheme supports young women coming into the industry to gain valuable insight and experience from others working in the sector. Making the Media is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, and other podcast platforms. Welcome, Shelly.
Nice to be here.
So, Shelly, as I mentioned at the top, you are a technology consultant. You put out a regular newsletter. You're everywhere talking about technology. And each year you lead customized tours of CES for industry leaders. So for the past several years, I've been checking in with you before what was once the world's largest convention to get your thoughts on what's important and what's trending there. But Shelly, this year's trend seems to be collapse. Google, Microsoft, Twitter, Meta have all pulled out. GM CEO canceled her keynote. Omicron is surging and people seem to be retreating. So is CES in tatters?
No, I don't think CES is in tatters. I think America is in tatters. I think we've got two Americas going on here. Michael, you've got the America that doesn't believe COVID's a problem. And then you've got the America that believes COVID is a problem. And somewhere in the middle, there are people who feel that, wait, I've been vaccinated. In fact, I've been triple vaccinated. Therefore, I am not at risk. I may pose a risk to others is that in the fact that I can transmit the disease, but I'm likely just to have a mild case. I won't be hospitalized and I won't die. So if I believe that the vaccine worked for me, I should be able to wear a mask and just interact with others in a pretty safe way, in a responsible way. So there's really, there's the two Americas, and then there's that third place where, well, if I believe in the science, I'm vaccinated and I'm going to be cautious. I should be able to interact with others. And that is the issue. CES is trying to be all things to all people. Now, should they have canceled or not, I think hindsight will tell us the story. They're still going to have a show. The show was always planned to be live and virtual. So the virtual version, to be fair, is a website with some videos and some press conferences. It's not impressively done. I don't think that Gary Shapiro, the CEO of the Consumer Technology Association, would, if he were sitting here with us, would say that it's any different than that. They do an okay job. And I think the reason they do an okay job is that they'd like you to come in person. They are an in-person show. Journalists love to bash CES, especially this time of year. Everybody wants to, I don't know if it's relevant anymore. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but the show will go on virtually. Whether it goes on live or not will be in hindsight. Like I said, this show you and I are recording in advance of the show. Will probably air after the show, so we'll know if it actually happened in person or not. Hard to say.
We are off, even as we record, we are awfully close. It seems like that ship has sailed, but I guess we'll see. In our past conversations, you've maintained that perhaps the most important aspect of the show is it's a sort of meeting of the minds. People interact, they share ideas. There's a palpable sense of the possible and how technology can make and shape a better world. Is there much hope for that dynamic to possibly take hold this year?
It's such a good question. What I love about CES personally, and the reason I've been going forever, it's been 25, 30 years I've been going to see since before it was CES, to be fair. It's a crystal ball. You get to see into the future. So if I want to look into the short-term future, I can see what's going to ship for next Christmas because they'll tell us. And if I want to look 24 months into the future, I can see what's the concept stuff that's just about to go into production. And then they always have these really interesting total concept devices and total concept technologies that, may or may not ever happen, but you get to see the art of the possible. What's nice is that you also get to discuss it with your colleagues, because as you're walking around, you bump into everybody you know. I think, if I stood at the Starbucks right outside of North Hall, like in the central corridor, and I just stood there long enough, I think everybody I ever met in the world would walk by in a normal CES. It's that kind of place. So, hey, did you see this? And did you see that? And what do you think? Like, that's the beauty of it. We can't do that virtually, but we can still have, I think, a good understanding of what's new, what's next, and what it means for your business. At least that's what we're going to try to do. Now, look, to be fair, in January past, in 2021, the show was all virtual. And we learned something at the Palmer Group that I did not really expect to learn. Because everything was virtual, we didn't really do anything with the CES website. We decided we'd go to each one of our clients, each one of the exhibitors that we've known for years and years and years. And we said to them, hey, what's new? What are you guys going to do? And we got all this great B-roll. And then we built these virtual tours, which we were calling virtual tech briefings. And we did them online in Zoom for small leadership teams, and then we recorded them. And in some cases, we did them where we allowed a small leadership team to be part of the Q&A, and then we would let it play for 300, 500, 1,000 employees. It was the largest audiences we'd ever had for our tours. This actually became a product. We've done it all year, about every 3 months for about half our clients. There's a lot of these tech briefings that we've been doing online. And so we've kind of perfected it. It's in fairness a better product than our live tour, because it's not restricted by how far you can walk. It's not restricted by who's on the floor. If I want to talk about Apple, I can just put videos of Apple. If I want to talk about Intel and they're in a different, they have a suite as opposed to a display on the floor, I can bring up, what's going on with Intel or what's going on with AMD right when I need to talk about it, with visual support, with all the data, with a chart, with a graph. So, in a very strange way, necessity being the mother of invention, we invented a better tour product than the live tour product. And we're doing that this year for all our clients. And then our Innovation Series Summit, which generally we put 1,500 people in the Encore Theater, in the morning, and do a networking breakfast and just invite everybody. And it's really such a wonderful event because you get to see everyone and hang out and have a cup of coffee and talk about what you've seen. It's usually the second day of the show. This we're doing virtually this year, as we did earlier for the 2021 show. 2022, be January 5th at 11 a.m. and it's online. You'll be able to see it no matter when you go to YouTube to look at it. It's at shellypalmer.com/live, which is my YouTube channel. And yeah, it's like, that's all virtual. Samsung is there, Meta is there, Advanced Human Imaging, Oracle. We've got MetaMask. I mean, we got wonderful, wonderful guests and talked about all kinds of interesting stuff. And, is it ever, the part we miss desperately is the networking part, but I think everybody's missing that. That's the beauty of a live show. Yeah. We're doing the best we can, but the information's there.
Yeah, we had our first live in-person event just a couple of weeks ago in New York, a small event nestled inside of SVG's video summit. And the palpable hunger for people to want to talk and connect again was felt everywhere. It was astonishing. We got it in just before Omicron started to really arrive on the scene and surge, and definitely you could feel that in the air. But so Shelly, are you going to actually be there doing this event,
no.
or you're going to be remote completely? Wow.
We just, the week everybody dropped out, we had already made the decision that we weren't going to go. And the reason I decided not to go was it didn't make sense to me to go to be in a bubble, to wear a mask. And we had these special headsets that we ordered from our supplier that allowed the people I took on tour to not have to take their masks off in order to speak. You press a button, everybody had a microphone, everybody had headsets. Wow. It's a really nice set of headsets. We were very excited about it. I have some N95 masks. I was all ready to go, and I was going to be socially distanced. You've got 60,000 to 80,000 people will show up. I mean, it's usually 160 to 180,000, but I figure it's going to be a third of its normal size. They're going to come from all over the world. If they're supposed to be vaccinated, they're supposed to, be COVID tested. But every year I come home with what, I mean, I can't even say it politically correctly now. I always come home with the CES flu. I don't know what else to call it. And I'm usually sick for 10 days. Why? I shake hands with 10,000 people from all over the planet. And, you're getting hugs from everybody and you're seeing it. It's such a wonderful in-person event, but I always get sick. I mean, I never don't, right? It's just, I don't know how politicians ever do it when they're campaigning. There isn't enough Purell in the world to keep me from getting ill.
Yeah.
And I figured because that normally happens, what's going to happen here? Like that doesn't make any sense. And so we just thought also, and this is very important for people to understand, this is a personal decision that I made, a little too much personal information. My mother's immunocompromised. She's a chemotherapy survivor, a cancer survivor, 13 years she's had chemo. She has no immune system. She's been triple vaxxed and it will have no effect. So if I bring it home to her, she will be in danger. And one of my granddaughters is immunocompromised also, and the vaccine has no impact on her. She's of age to have a vaccine, but because her immune system is gone from chemotherapy, she's not immune she doesn't get any benefit from the vaccine.
Right.
I have no interest in bringing this home, and the quarantining for 10 days from everybody I guess that's possible if I came home, but that's a lot to ask based on my personal obligations. So I'm not willing to do it. And therefore we decided to opt out. And I think what everybody needs to understand is it's not just about, are you vaxxed? It's not just about, do you care? There are other people in the world who can be impacted by the decisions you make. And since everyone you meet is fighting 1,000 silent battles you know nothing about, then exercising caution here and, erring on the side of caution made sense to me. It's not right for everybody, but it's right in my case. And it's this decision that we made at the Palmer Group.
So for the 60 some odd thousand people who may be still planning to go, what can they expect from the experience? What's salvageable, if that's not too strong a way of putting it?
I don't think we can, look, I'm not there. I'm not going to be there. But what I do know is the show will be half the size or less. There are about 2,100 exhibitors that they're saying have signed up. I think that there will be far less than that. That's half. You're usually looking at a couple, 3 million square feet of exhibit space. You're going to look at a fraction of that. My guess is the people who get there will be the right people, and it will be a wonderful in-person experience. That's my guess. I think it's going to be different because, again, we have people from all walks of life coming to Las Vegas, people who are very, very cautious and people who are less cautious. So I think we're going to have to see if it turns out to be great or turns out to be the super spreader event of 2022. There's no way to tell. And I don't have that crystal ball. I don't have. These are choices that the CTA made. These are choices that the city of Las Vegas has made. These are individual choices people have made. What's important is that you follow the science because we're a tech organization, and you hope for the best. We've made a decision based on the science that we understand.
So since this is a podcast for TV people, what, whether virtually or in person, is important for broadcasters in this particular show?
I think it's a great question for broadcasters to be asking. I'm not sure there's a great answer. Televisions are mature technology. And the biggest thing that happened in the TV business this year was TikTok and the absolute inversion of viewer behavior. So there's not much to learn at CES about viewer behavior. There's a lot to learn about viewer behavior, though. We're seeing engage to earn tools from Web3, places like Axie Infinity, where people are playing to earn. We're seeing engage to earn like Theta, Band Protocol, the BAT token on the Brave browser. These are nascent technologies that are telling us that the data governance and data gathering and the collection and use of data is changing. There's a balance of power that may change. We've seen TikTok become the most visited site in the world, beating Google. And if you're a broadcaster, this has got to stop you in your tracks because things are different now. Cord cutting is at an all-time high. We're seeing vMVPDs getting priced where cable used to be. And so now what's happened is where cable can't offer the kind of quality that over the top can, you've got a premium television that's 4K or in some cases 8K. And if you want really a lot of 8K, or I'm sorry, a lot of 4K programming and the ability to upconvert 4K to 8K so that you've got the best possible upconversion from the best possible signal, that's coming over the top. And so all of a sudden we've seen technology, consumer behavior, and the actual content itself switch. this has never happened in the television business as long as you and I have been in the television business. We've never seen this kind of consumer shift over. I have anecdotal evidence and some research, some real research, proprietary research that shows that people who are in their 50s and 60s, instead of turning on their televisions at night when they go to bed, are putting in earbuds and watching on their handhelds as opposed to turning on their big screen TV, so that a spouse, a couple in bed will actually be watching two different things on handheld devices before going to bed, as opposed to sharing an experience like the Tonight Show 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, where everybody, oh, let's turn on the Tonight Show for a minute, and then we'll go nighty-nighty. No, these are different behaviors, and we're seeing it everywhere. You also see this happen in the family room in a way that we've just never experienced it. People are watching TV so bored with what's on television, or so inundated with giant commercial pods, they literally hold their handhelds in their hand and will multitask because TV's not enough for them, or the content doesn't stay relevant enough as it goes off to commercial. These are documented viewer behaviors we have not seen previously. This is the impact that technology is having on consumer behavior, and that consumer behavior is going to dramatically impact television in 2022 in ways that we just haven't seen before.
Now, you have not given much credence to NextGen TV in the past, as it made its first couple of appearances at CES. Have you at all revised your dim view of its prospects? Is it gaining any momentum?
In my world, no, I don't see it as that is a technology whose time came and went long before it's still really not deployed. At the end of the day, the data story that TV wants to tell you, the TV industry never understood itself. So it really didn't understand pure play digital. And the data elite are so far ahead that TV can't possibly catch up. And now the data elite are actually under siege too, because Web3 and all decentralized technologies, from DAOs to metaverse attempts, are all going to have different data governance and different data ownership. If you think about television, if I can just yell at my TV colleagues for a minute, the problem has always been, we were lucky enough to have really good segmentation in television, audience segmentation and brand safety. It's the thing television did best. TV is brand safe because it is by definition, and TV is clustered and classified by audience, because if you've got a cooking show on food TV, or if you've got a football game on ESPN, the demographics are very, very well understood and easily understandable. Why advertisers chose not to make enough different creative to take advantage of those different audiences, why I'm seeing a spot that was made to run on ESPN run on Bravo or on Cooking Channel or on the food TV, makes no sense to me. And since the actual television business never, ever took advantage of the fact that it was clustered and classified properly, and that it had really excellent brand safety and audience segmentation combined, now they've just lost their audience. They've made the experience so terrible in broadcast TV that you have to really have nothing else to do but to sit through 10 minutes of commercials at a time. And it's horrifying.
So I guess no reason to think that that would carry over to addressability, that they would actually take advantage of addressable apps.
It may carry over, but the audience numbers are so minimal that you can't deal, like TV's a reach medium. And to try to make TV something it isn't is what everybody, oh, wow, we have to compete with digital on their own. We're going to get into the middle of the OK Corral and we're going to say draw, or it's high noon and we're going to face off with Facebook or Google. Come on, that was never going to happen. TV does what pure play digital can't. TV uses sight, sound, and motion to drive an emotional recency and availability psychology. If you read your Danny Kahneman, if you read your Amos Tversky, if you read econometrics, if you understand the science of behavioral economics, you know that as a consumer, recency and availability are driving forces at point of sale, and TV is the best at that in the world. And not to have played that and played that hard and been really, really serious about it, you know, look, maybe the incentives and the outcomes aren't aligned, because clearly the TV industry decided it needed to go after Facebook and Google directly. And it's folly. It can't be done. You can't gather that kind of data the way the television industry is trying to gather it. And it didn't need it. in order to do effective advertising to drive velocity at retail. And everybody was going crazy with attribution. It's like, we have to have attribution the same way digital does. There's so much viewability and fraud now. Even and when you look at the over-the-top television business, it doesn't understand digital well enough to have gotten around that. And so viewability and fraud are actually a bigger problem with online television than it is with pure play digital. And that's saying something. So realistically, the TV industry came late to the party, aimed at the wrong thing, and missed huge. So yeah, I'm not high on any of the ATSC 3.0 stuff. I'm not high on any of advanced television. I'm really sorry the TV industry didn't really hunker down and understand the data story when they were supposed to 15 years ago. And they've gone farther and farther away from understanding the data story. And now they have a viewability and fraud problem that was plaguing pure play digital a decade ago. And they're just learning about it now. It's pretty horrifying.
Okay, just quickly, 5G, any significant news you expect to come on that front in the show?
I don't actually. And as you know, from my own writings and my own musings out loud, 5G is a marketing term. It is not a term of art. It will be the network for the next 50 years. At the moment, there's a little bit of noise in the United States. The FAA is trying to tell everybody that, hey, you're interfering with our altimeters in certain bandwidth, certain spectrum is interfering with our altimeters. It doesn't, by the way, happen in any other country in the world. It's just supposed to happen here. The problem with 5G is that you can't watch a TV show any faster. You can't talk any faster. It's like, and the downloads are already fast enough. When you've got the backhauls, that it will also be 5G. When the actual network topology is 5G end to end, we will all experience a beautiful low latency, high bandwidth network. At the moment, what we're experiencing is really lumpy 5G. For industrial uses, when you're a factory for 5G, it's a great choice if it's the right choice for you in your factory setting, in your industrial setting. For consumers, it's a pure marketing term. And that's what we're seeing, a lot of marketing around 5G. It's awesome. It just doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so what about the future? Having had a virtual year in 2021 and now a very decimated one for 2022, what does that bode for a show of this scope and magnitude? And what does it pretend about other major industry shows like this going forward?
Now, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not an epidemiologist. We do risk assessments with our clients and medical professionals. And what I'm told, and this is what these are the briefings I've sat through. So this is hearsay technically, because I'm just telling you what I've heard from the professionals we've hired and our clients have hired. Everyone expects Omicron to be pretty serious, but it is a milder form of COVID-19, and you tend to get less sick, although more people will get sick. So what I'm told is this will become endemic to the population sometimes towards the summer, meaning everybody will ultimately be exposed to it. Those who are vaccinated will fare better than those who haven't been, although this is a very personal disease. I'm also told that, and I know from personal experience, that you can get it and be fully asymptomatic, and you could get it and pass on. And there are reasons that medical professionals can tell you why this is such a wide range of outcomes. At the end of the day, human beings are social animals, and we need to be together, and people need to interact one-on-one. You can study what happened after the Spanish flu in 1918 and in the early 1920s when the pandemic ended. There were people, they were having hugging parties. They were literally, people just desperately needed other human beings to be near them. So I think ultimately this will abate. We will figure out how we live in a world that's post-COVID. And will CES ever come back to its size? Yes, I think it will, because it's an incredible show with incredible things that are fun to see. But the nature of our world is changing. And I think it's important to understand that CES has evolved also. The Consumer Electronics Show is now the Consumer Technology Show, run by this Consumer Technology Association. I don't know that an individual stereo is interesting anymore. I don't know that an individual device that has natural language understanding or automatic speech recognition is that important. We live in a world where the world around us understands us when we speak. The world around us understands us when we exhibit certain behaviors. The data is collected. We are right on the cusp of Web3 and decentralized everything, decentralized finance. We're looking at a completely different way to think about the World Wide Web than we do right now. How far will it go? It's hard to say. The governments around the world are going to fight hard to maintain their rule and regulation over currency. And some consumers are going to want that desperately, but people are looking at finance as democratized now as information was democratized with the advent of the Apple II Plus computer and the IBM PC. All of a sudden, we're in a brave new world where people can invent new ways to do business, create value, exchange value. These are going to have massive impacts. Now, will CES stay as the biggest show in North America? Maybe some DeFi show or Web3 show or crypto show will take its place, or maybe CES will evolve into that. It's hard to know, but I am sure that South by and Mobile World and CES and all the great tech shows are going to come adapt and prosper, because we are at a time when those kinds of shows are still really important, and getting together with your colleagues, everybody wants it. And it again has never been more important than it is now. There's so much new. It's time to discuss, time to get new ideas. And it's so much easier when you're just in a room hanging out with your buddies, and, as opposed to trying to do it on Zoom or just trying to do it via email. So we've all adapted. We'll continue to adapt. I have high hopes for all the big trade shows. I really do.
So those are some comforting words for Gary Shapiro in what is really a very tough week for him. Well, Shelly Palmer, it is always interesting to speak with you, and good luck with your own virtual tours at CES Unspooled.
Oh, can I promote something real quick? Could I? So I normally don't do this. We are going to launch on January 5th, depending on when this airs. It may have come or gone. However, you can go to Meta Academy, METACADEMY, like the word Meta and Academy put together, metacademy.xyz. At metacademy.xyz, you will find, free of charge, a complete journey to take you from the beginning all the way through current state-of-the-art knowledge of cryptocurrency, NFTs, DAOs, and the whole world of decentralized finance. You'll be able to get a wallet, like a MetaMask wallet, fill it with test currency, mint your own NFTs, test NFTs, and you'll earn real NFTs from us. You'll get to understand rarity. You'll get to understand golden tickets and what it is to create engaged to earn environments. We've built this into chapters that you can earn NFTs in, real world NFTs, by using these test NFTs. It's called metacademy.xyz. It's going to be an updated resource. And the reason I did it is I had a best-selling book, Blockchain, on Amazon. It was a bestseller for like 8 weeks, but it has to be updated. And I was about to update the book. I'm like, well, wait, it changes every day. So I can't change the book every day, but I can change this website every day. So with our partners at Blockchain Foundry and at Cat Boudica, a company called Motion Tonic, a tremendous art studio, we got together with them and we built metacademy.xyz, and it's completely free. And anyone can go there and just learn to do absolutely everything. It's executive training for everyone who needs to get into crypto, DeFi, DAOs, the metaverse, NFTs. It's all there for you, and it's all free of charge.
Okay, sounds interesting. Well, perhaps next year we'll talk from the metaverse. And thanks so much, Shelly. Cheers.
All righty.
A new episode of Talking TV is available most Fridays on TVNewsCheck.com. You can also listen and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify.